Okay, next up is Miss Susan, I think her name is spelled H-E-I-T-E-R. That's how I'm reading these letters. Lighter? Sure. We'll go with that. And then again, Ellen, why do you go? There you go. We'll follow her, and then Mr. Richard Thomas. Thank you.
I'd like to say that I'm really impressed with the sincerity of all the workers and all the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. It just doesn't seem like you factored everything in altogether, the faults and various things. I heard a gentleman say that the New York ISO has said we have rolling blackouts if Indian Point closed. I was just there a month ago, and that's one of the questions we asked them, and there would be no rolling blackouts, and there would be no lack of power if Indian Point closed. The 25% that Indian Point refers to is 25% of their power, not 25% of New York's power. And that's a very different thing. I believe the estimate is in peak times that we use 5 to 6% of Indian Point power for this area. So I think that needs to be corrected. I don't think you can compare, the people who live and work there have their investment in it, and I quite understand that it's important to them, and they believe that it's safe. But we haven't factored in all the possibilities. There could be an earthquake. I know during Sandy, Indian Point had no evacuation plan whatsoever, and it still ran, and I'm wondering if that is legal. You had no buses and no trains. Both the mayor of New York stopped the trains, the county exec Astorino stopped the buses. You had trees all over the roads, so you had actually zero evacuation possibility. And yet Indian Point still ran. My question is that really a safe thing to do? Is that part of your rules? Thank you.
Thank you.
I would just say on that question, we rely on FEMA with respect to the ability to on-site evacuate.
I recognize that you may disagree.
I understand the concern.
But again, please actually respect each other's speaking time, including that of the NRC. You're welcome to vocalize when it's your turn to speak your disagreement. And again, not to take up any more time.
My name is Ellen Weinberg. At one point before I continue Mr. Blanchard's statement, is that the NRC signed off on Entergy's analysis, which enabled FERC to move through the approval process. And without that approval, that process may not have been possible. The Entergy and NRC analysis discusses the possibility that the switchyard and the fuel oil supply could be destroyed should a gas line rupture occur. However, failed to assume that these two failures could occur simultaneously, even though they are located within 100 feet of each other. What is the impact of the loss of the entire switchyards, diesel oil storage tanks, and the city water tank? Assuming this is a long-term event, what AC power sources are available to cool the plant? What specific training has been conducted for the local fire departments and the on-site fire brigade to fight a gas fire, which may persist for many hours? Will the first responders even be able to approach a gas fire? Like the San Bruno explosion in California, are there firefighting planes available to deal with this massive fire? What testing does the NRC impose on the Department of Transportation for periodic maintenance and pipe integrity and valve operability for gas line isolation? Will redundant valves be required, or will this decision be made by the DOT? How does the NRC address the NRC requirements for a single failure of the gas isolation valves? How does the NRC justify the use of the Aloha computer program when it is specifically prohibited for use by the United States EPA for this pipeline configuration? How does the NRC address its guidance for the required 20-minute response times for valve isolation? The Turkey Point gas line analysis projects a blast radius of 3,097 feet from a rupture of a 24-inch gas line operating at 772 pounds per square inch, while the Indian Point analysis projects a blast radius of about only 1,100 feet from a 42-inch line operating at 850 pounds per square inch. The same question applies to the disparity in blast radius for Indian Point and Cove Point and the nuclear facility in Eunice, New Mexico. What testing does the NRC impose on spectra such that reasonable assurance is provided to recognize a line break, given that there are multiple lines being pressurized from the same compressor? And how does the NRC assure the isolation of backflow from downstream lines? Thank you.
Apparently it's all in the sentence. I apologize. Mr. Richard Thomas is up next. He will be followed by Ms. Ann Egan and then Ms. Susan McDonald.
Thank you. There's been a lot of discussion tonight on renewables, and just want to point out that California, Germany, and Japan each have subtracted nuclear power from their generation mix and have had much higher emissions and tenuous reliability. So I think that there's a lot to learn, particularly from the spikes in electricity prices. The EIA comes to mind when it says that wholesale power prices increased by about 52% because California is relying upon imported power. So that's something to be very wary of. This is a brief statement. Indian Point is essential as it provides 11% of New York's electricity with virtually zero emissions. It simply cannot be replaced with clean, affordable, and reliable community-based power. However laudable certain renewable or other out-of-state and imported power projects may appear, New York already has one of the cleanest electricity generation portfolios in the nation, with 55.4% of power coming from sources that have practically zero emissions. This includes nuclear power at 32.7%, hydro 18.3%, as well as wind and solar amounting to 4% combined. As a result, New York boasts the lowest per capita carbon emissions of any state at 8.1 metric tons per capita versus 17.3 metric tons on average from the national standpoint. Numerous independent government studies, related studies, have determined that the premature closure of Indian Point means degraded air quality, as will be greater use, especially in the short term of fossil fuels. In fact, closing Indian Point is the equivalent of adding 1 million cars to the roads. Electricity prices would rise, there would be thousands of jobs lost, hundreds of millions of dollars in lower annual tax revenue, and degraded grid reliability. The U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission has consistently awarded Indian Point its highest safety ratings since Entergy took ownership in 2001. And NRC staff has recommended license renewal after the most thorough evaluation in its history. For these and other reasons, the plant should operate for another 20 years or more. Thank you very much.
Before we continue, I apologize for the interruption. A young woman by the name of Aiden Ferris, who has asked, who intends, I'm just showing what list she's on, who intends to advocate against continued operation, would like to speak tonight, and she is number 26. We're on number 8. So if any individuals, and that's Ken Kellerman, Vitola Simon, Jacqueline Drexler, Annie Wilson, if any of those individuals would like to trade places with Ms. Aiden.
Who else is on the list?
Michael, Michelle Solomon, I'm reading the ones who are up next on the intend to advocate against. So if you're any of those individuals and you would like to trade, feel free to donate your time to Ms. Ferris. I apologize for the interruption. But again, we're now with Ms. Ann with me. Thank you.
Yes, I am from New York City. I've lived there for many, many years, and I'm very fond of it. And I'm very fond of the people there. So I'd like to address my remarks. It's actually an announcement. We have a group called Shut Down Indian Point Now. And I want to give you the contacts there for the people of New York City. We would like to come into your neighborhood and have an evening addressing this issue. We have done it in many, many neighborhoods, but I think it would take 20 years to get to every neighborhood. So if anybody lives in New York City and you have some part of your area, we could come to church, school, whatever, and have an evening similar to this. Similar. Please get in touch with me, Ann, at bronxgreens1@gmail.com. Also, I just want to let you all know, you New York City people, that we have an introduction into the city council, our city council, which we just got the other day at the city council meeting. So we need to get a whole bunch of people on that. We only have the 3 or 4 or 5 that were there in the room when we proposed this. So if you have your council people support 0694, which is shutting down Indian Point. So I think that's enough of the moment. Remember, or you can get in touch with me at bronxgreens1@gmail.com.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Just are you releasing that email address to be put on the public website?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to verify that. Okay. Next up, we have Ms. Susan McDonald, and she will be followed by Mr. John Rabbits.
I have one mission. I want to finish Paul's comments, and then I have something I'd like to add to it, please. The 10th issue that Paul Branch Blanchwater brought up was the energy analysis determined the gas explosion was the design basis evident DBE, while the NRC's analysis was that it was not a DBE. Why this significant and critical difference, and whose analysis rules? The NRC references, this is the next one, the NRC references the FERC, the EPA, and DOT handbook on chemical analysis for its probability calculations. The NRC states that the probability of a gas explosion is reduced by the factor of 100, yet this number cannot be located in this reference. The NRC analysis also states that 1% of the accidents result in a complete pipe break and 5% ignition rate. Why is the NRC using statistics not referenced in the cited reference? There is no basis for these assumptions. The present 26 and 30 and 60-plus-year-old gas lines are located much closer to vital structures. Yet Energy and the NRC have determined that the risk of explosion of these lines to be not feasible, meaning failure is actually lower than the new proposed 42-inch line. How is it possible that these old lines have a 0 failure probability with no nuclear maintenance requirements, whereas the new 42-inch lines have a higher probability of failure? This does not make sense. That's the end of Paul's comments. And as I read through these comments and I listened, I've heard at least the NRC, the Energy, FERC, the EPA, DOT, and New York State. Do you guys ever sit down and talk to one another in the same room and dish out, dish up some of these problems? I'll provide lunch anytime you want.
Thank you. And again, next is Mr. John Rabbit. R-A-B-I-T-Z. He will be followed by Mr. Don Raskoff, and then Mr. Ken Fellman.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm John Rabbits. I'm the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for the Business Council of Westchester. We are one of the county's largest business membership organization, ranging from the multi-international companies that call Westchester home to all the universities and hospitals, professional service, mid-sized business, over 100 non-for-profits, and solo entrepreneurs. As an organization focused on supporting the overall economic health of the Westchester community, the Business Council of Westchester strongly believes that Indian Point is a critical component for the reliability and affordability of power in the state of New York. Even more so, it is a major contributor to the local economy of Westchester County. The Business Council of Westchester commissioned a report titled An Assessment of Energy Needs in Westchester County that found that the closing of Indian Point would have a catastrophic impact on the region, resulting in higher electric rates for businesses and consumers, more power outages, a rapid rise in carbon emissions, and a devastating blow to the Westchester economy. The report stated that the closure of Indian Point would result in the elimination of 3,300 local jobs, $75 million in revenue funding for the local services, and millions more in economic development resources. While the economic and environmental arguments in favor of Indian Point are clear, the plant's continued safe operations transcends all considerations. Our organization supports the Nuclear Regulatory Commission's stringent oversight of plant operations and its commitment to ensuring the highest level of safety for all of our country's nuclear power plants. As the former Chief Executive Officer of the American Red Cross of Westchester County, I have toured the plant on numerous occasions and participated in safety and preparedness drills and exercises. The Business Council of Westchester believes that Entergy has a strong commitment in ensuring safety standards are maintained and exceeded by more than the 1,000 employees at the plant's facility. Our organization will continue to support your critical role to ensure the highest standards of safety are observed and maintained at Indian Point. In addition, as outlined in the above-mentioned compelling reasons, we will continue to advocate for the license renewal of the facility. On behalf of the Business Council of Westchester's 1,000 members, we thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Yeah, okay, so we haven't had anyone, and I'm not misleading, I don't know how old she is, but I'm assuming she's younger. So I'm gonna say she's very far back on the list. We haven't had that, because the whole purpose of me building the speaker order, in which I did, was to build in diversity. Would there be any objection to breaking from the list to have her speak? Is that okay? Go ahead. This is one second. I apologize. Mr. Ken Fellman is up next. Would Mr. Fellman be willing to trade with Ms. Avery or Ms. Ferris?
We're going then. Just let her trade.
We already have. We have a solution. Bravo, Pete, sir. So you're up, Ms. Ferris.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You get a gold star, sir, Mr. Fetterman, at the end of the evening.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Aiden Ferris, and I'm here to represent Earth Guardians New York, a chapter of an extensive network of youth around the world tourists who are rising up to take action on climate change. Our mission is to protect the earth, air, water, and atmosphere so that our generation and those to come will inherit a healthy, just, and sustainable planet. I'm here tonight because our future is threatened. We are in the midst of a global climate crisis that is causing the health of every single ecosystem on this planet to decline. Each and every day, we hear more about the degradation of our planet Earth garbage patches larger than the size of Texas in our oceans, astronomical CO2 levels, nuclear waste still leaking from Fukushima. The list goes on. And nearly 2 weeks ago, there was a third transformer failure in the last 8 years at the nuclear power plant, or the Indian Point power plant, where thousands of gallons of oil were released into the Hudson. Events like this make it more clear than ever that if the plant is not closed, a path towards nuclear disaster is inevitable. Spectra's AIM project, the 42-inch pipeline that would carry high-pressure frac gas nearly 105 feet from the already questionable plant, only intensifies the likelihood of another Fukushima here in New York. We, the youth, are not only looking at no jobs for our future, we are looking at not having a future at all. Is this the type of future that we want to give the generations to come? One that's riddled with toxic chemicals in our water and threat of nuclear destruction hanging over our head? Or do we want to help create a more sustainable world built on renewable energy like wind and solar that could very well be the backbone of our economies? The youth are expected to have faith and trust that appointed elected officials will help make decisions that will ensure the health and safety of our communities, and now and in the future. Over and over again, this has not been true, and youth all over the world are beginning to question who the leaders really are, the elected officials or the people. Just last fall, thousands of people around the world have signed a pledge to be a climate leader that my 12-year-old friend initiated. Thousands of people. So the question is here, will the U.S. NRC and other elected officials that are present here tonight sign this pledge and be the leaders your grandchildren would want you to be? Will you truly protect the people and the environment like it says on your signs? And the only way to do that is to close the Indian Point and halt the construction. Please consider signing this pledge. And anyone else in the audience who would like to do so as well.
Thank you.
If there is another gallant person here, we've been here since before 6 o'clock. We signed up. We have among us, we all speak together, a 100-year-old bona fide birth certificate singer who has to get back to New York City. She came all the way up here. Our collective age is probably somewhere around 600. So I'm going to ask if someone would like to give us their turn.
If you would like to do so, please just indicate when I call your name. When it's your turn to speak. Okay, next up is Mr. Paul Seidler. He will be followed by Mr. Harry Goldenberg, and then Ms. Vitala Simon. Or it might be Mr. Vitala, I'm sorry. Either way. So, again, next up is Mr. Paul Seidler.
Yes, thank you. I just have I'm with the New York Affordable Reliable Electricity Alliance. I just have a brief statement here from one of our members, Steve Ludwigson, business manager of the Boilermakers, Local Lodge number 5. And it follows. Indian Point is safe and an important partner to the Boilermakers. From working in the plant and seeing the commitment to safe practices, my members and I are confident about reporting the work at Indian Point. We would never jeopardize the health and safety of our members or our families. Indian Point also is essential to keeping and growing jobs in Westchester and across the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Harry Goldenberg, or it looks like it might be B-E-R-G. Is Harry still in the room? Goldenb, O-G or E-R-G, one of the two. He doesn't have an affiliation. I would say that. Okay, next up is... Yeah, the fairness of the people who signed up, Mr. Ms. Simon or Mr. Simon, I don't know based on the first name, and I apologize again. It's your turn to speak. If you'd like to donate it, the Raging Grabbies, as they requested, it's up to you.
I've never spoken at one of these meetings before, so I want to do it. I've been waiting my turn. I'm a yoga teacher. I've been teaching yoga for over 25 years here in Westchester. And I'm sharing with you today from what I refer to as the heart of life. And on behalf of the many beings who do not have human voices, I've dedicated my life to learning how to protect life. I feel your goodwill. I feel everybody's goodwill. And yet we appear to be making choices that are destructive to life. I'm very concerned by what I would refer to as self-disconnectedness and blind greed that will lead to the destruction of thousands and thousands of lives, humans, land, air, and water creatures, and destruction of the fabric of life itself. You look like really good people. Please look inside your own hearts and in your own consciences. Are we making good decisions? What is your moral compass? How do you make these decisions morally, not financially, morally, ethically, spiritually? What matters? What really matters? We will stop you from destroying our country, our planet, our air, our water, and the lives of all living beings. This old way of doing things will not win. Please don't carry this destructive burden into your own souls. Think deeply about what you're doing. Return to your own deep inner knowing. Let us all let go of our massive death wish and join together. Hold someone's hand right now. Just reach out. Hold someone's hand. And create a world together of vitality, cooperation with one another, and a deep respect for the sanctity of our earth and her many life forms. Closing point. Stop the Algonquin pipeline expansion and create jobs with renewable energy projects that you can administer. You can be the administrators. You can have a new job too.
Thank you for your comments.
Blessed be the Holy One. Blessed be the light. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have Marissa Pivot, the president of the Westchester County Association. And then following her will be Mark Johnson, and then Jacqueline Dressler, excuse me. So again, Marissa Pivot is up next. Okay, Marissa's not here. Mark Johnson.
By time, that's seated to Raging Grants.
Okay. It's going to give 2 gold stars that I will either draw for you or some way through it. So thank you. So again, please feel free.
Any time to walk all the way over here. My name is Sonny Armour. I'm here with Raging Granies Well, based in Westchester, and Raging Granies and their daughters, New York City Metro Raging Granies, who drove all the way up there. You can see our collective age, I did not exaggerate. Here's dear Lillian, who just had her 100th birthday.
Happy birthday,
She's here because she cares about all of our children and grandchildren. And yes, we have several great-grandmothers here. Gotta be brief. 7. Oh. We dedicate this song to courageous workers who are still trying to keep the Fukushima nuclear plant from melting down further. And remind you that we in New York are endangered by the Indian Point power plant located within 19 miles of this very spot. Okay, I'll repeat. 1, 2, 3. Oh, energy says not to worry, 'cause earthquakes can't happen here now. But under the Indian Point plant lurks a fault zone that's called Ramapo. Look at routes for evacuation. If Indian Point should melt down, don't test drive those roads for escaping. And Norm, you can't get out of town. Shut it down, shut it down. Indian Point is unsafe, we know. Shut it down, shut it down. Indian Point has to go. The nuclear waste that is stored here is cause for us all to unite. If only we knew how to do it, we'd shut Indian Point down tonight. Oh, NRC rule as you ought to. You know you should issue a ban to save New York State from such horrors as the tragic events in Japan. What are you gonna do? Shut it down, shut it down. Indian Point is unsafe, we know. Shut it down, shut it down. Indian Point has to go right now. We have 2 minutes, one more song.
We're at 2 minutes, 47 seconds. I appreciate your song. If someone else would like
2 minutes, you lied. Sorry.
I apologize if my timekeeping is inaccurate, but right now we're at 3 minutes. Thank you. Next up is Jacqueline Dresser. She will be followed by Deborah Maloney.
Good evening, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of David Amram, who's a wonderful musician and activist. He says, I wish I could be with everyone tonight to thank all of you for coming to show concern for all of us here in the beautiful state of New York, to have a safe environment for our friends and families. That includes the families of all members of the Commission who are gracious enough to allow us our First Amendment right to speak out publicly. And also know that we share our concern for all of the families of the employees who work at Indian Point to help provide us with electricity by the hard work that they do every day. As a union member for 65 years of the American Federation of Musicians, I have first-hand knowledge of the rights of working people to have job security. But the current situation at Indian Point is now beyond being a political issue and has nothing to do with gender, class, race, or demographics of any kind, since death by nuclear radiation is an equal opportunity destroyer. With all respect to Dr. Kavakian, he was requested to dispense his services by those who wish to terminate their lives. To the best of my knowledge, the 30 million people who will suffer a quick death or a slow death by radiation poisoning have not requested anyone to help them commit suicide. So we do not want the people who are in charge of Indian Point to skip the necessity of mass mailings and press releases saying, we are terribly sorry and extend our condolences to all the families and their loved ones who have perished or been forced to abandon their homes due to an untimely accident. We are forming a study group to make sure that this will not occur in the future. There will be no future for 30 million people, including those lucky few who may survive, except for them to look at photographs of what the greater New York Hudson Valley and New York City used to look like before it became a wasteland. After 30 years of bringing back the Hudson River to life and raising a new generation of young people who are concerned about the environment and restoring an old-fashioned sense of community and responsibility for their children and future generations to come, we owe it to our present and future generations to display common sense. We can all work together to find every employee at the plant for Indian Point a job that pays the equivalent of what they earn at the moment. We can assure the stockholders that finding new ways of providing power will actually be more beneficial to them than having our beloved Hudson Valley become a wasteland. After a nuclear meltdown, their current stock will be worth zero. It is time to put into practice the same humanistic effort we extend towards others to the 30 million people whose lives are in danger here at home. The Office of Homeland Security cannot save us if we commit terrorism ourselves to our community by ignoring the obvious and end up annihilating ourselves. Let's all act now and do the right thing. Respectfully yours, David Amram.
Thank you. Okay. So it is, by my watch, 9:34. So I'm going to now call up our last three speakers. And they are Ms. Deborah Maloney. Is she here? Okay, then we're going to move on. So next will be Mr. John Montgomery. Are you in the room? John Montgomery. Okay, we're skipping forward again. Ann Wilson, Amy Wilson? Yes. Okay. So will be number one, Curtis Pratt. Curtis Pratt, is he in the room? Okay, moving forward again. Joe Ryan?
That's me, the only firefighter in the room.
Okay, so there's our second. And our last will be Jocelyn, Jocelyn DeCrescendo. Okay. All right, so those are our last three speakers.
Hi, good evening. I'm Annie Wilson. I work for the New York Environmental and Justice Project in New York City. And I have two comments relating to the viability of the no evacuation plan and whatever event could take place there. We put 20 million people who live and work within the 15-mile radius at risk. In New York City, we rely on the Pensacola Reservoir and the ongoing operation of the Indian plant is a persistent threat. So today I was asked to speak on behalf of George Panelick of the Stony Point Action Committee for the Environment. The organization's been around for 25 years. And I will read his statement for today relating to the oil spill and its impact on the Hudson River. The Indian Point Unit 3 transformer explosion released several thousand gallons of transformer oil into the Hudson River on Saturday, May 9th. This was the third failure in the Indian Point transformer in 8 years. And as Sunday's General News editorial so accurately states, the accident raises a myriad of concerns for neighbors, environmental groups, and politicians. On Saturday and Sunday, May 16th and 17th, I took a walking tour along the Hudson River shoreline in North Rockland. I began a walk at the Rockland County Harris Rockland Park and was extremely surprised to see 1 week after the Indian Point oil spill that an oil film is still covering much of the shoreline of our Rockland County Harris Rockland Park. Going further north, I was exploding oil slicks along Grassy Point Road in Stony Point and at the Stony Point Town Riverfront Park. I also noticed a dead mallard duck along the beach of the Grassy Point seawall. Was this mallard duck killed by the effects of the oil? I cannot determine that for certain. However, I did report it to the riverkeeper who contracted Stony Point Councilman Carl Davis earlier that Saturday morning, and he agreed to do his own assessment of the town waterfront. Speaking with the Councilman Davis later that day, he confirmed that pockets of oil pollution currently exist on Stony Point Riverfront Town Park and along private marina businesses on Beach Road. There's an understanding that NRC was supposed to hire a company to clean up the shoreline, that followed up immediately after its oil spill, and that is the case, who is looking out for Rockland County, specifically our county and town parks and private waterfront properties. Flip forward, the DEC Commissioner must be made aware that Rockland County is in need of a more complete environmental assessment of the oil pollution that Indian Point spewed along Rockland County's western banks last year. We need answers as to how the industry will clean up its pollution of the affected properties in the town of Stony Point, town of Haverstraw, and the Rockland County Haverstraw Lake Park. I have here photographs, we'll submit to the record. One photographs, and the other one, of the Indian Point. So the question is, who will clean up North Rockland's shower line from the Indian Point oil spill? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up is Mr. Joe Ryan.
I don't know how you're doing it. I mean, I need a bathroom break about an hour ago. My name is Joe Ryan. I'm an active firefighter in Verplank. We're first in at Indian Point. I didn't know that fire hats were the dress of tonight. I dressed like this in respect for you. But I can gladly show you real fire hats. The bottom line is, I moved to this area in '69. I taught for 32 years in Pendercuston School District, where the plant is. I've been a Verplank firefighter since 1974. We're first in. I have trained with those people. I've worked with those people. That is a safe plant. I built my new home in Buchanan, and by the way, I did teach Teresa. So the point is the point. The plant is safe and secure. The bottom line is people also have to be involved in their own health and safety. And we don't need plastic fire helmets, we need real ones. And we need people to volunteer to serve and protect their communities. And we have a responsibility. And do we respond to disaster? You're darn right we did. When we had 9/11, what happened is the fire companies around here, within the first 24 hours, were there. So you have to take care of your own. I thank you for serving on the commission. I know you didn't park your brains at the door. And I thank you for your patience. Good night.
Thank you. So, for our last speaker this evening, because it is 9:40 right now, we received a request, and actually received a request for reasonable accommodation due to this person's disability. She asked that due to a brain injury, that we allow her to give a video presentation as opposed to speaking tonight. The NRC granted that accommodation, and so I'm going to show this video, which is under 3 minutes long.
She was the people
We're at the end of our meeting. Our regional administrator, Dan Dorman, would like to make a closing statement, and then I'll give you some logistics for feedback, and if you'd like to provide written comments. So I'll turn it over to Dan.
Thank you, Brett. There we go. Thank you, Brett, and thank all of you and all the folks who haven't been able to bear with us for the duration. I just wanted to note that I know we haven't gotten to everybody who came, and I want to thank everyone for how many people we were able to hear from. We do have the written statement that Mr. Blanch provided. We will take that back and do responses to those questions that is more thoughtful than we could do in this context. We need to vacate this room and give it back to the Marriott, but I and my staff will remain out in the lobby out here if there are folks who still want to come up and share things with us. This video, Mr. Blanch's statement, I think Brett received a couple other items, will be included as part of the record of this meeting. So I just want to thank everyone again, and we will be available outside at the end, and then take it back to Brett.
Okay, thank you.
Questions. You've never gotten the answers. Fourth time here.
Fourth minutes last year, before the year before that, we still want answers. Not just Mr. Blanch's answers, but the public's answers. I submitted the questions. We want answers, please. When? Another 4 years. Now I want it this year. We get schedule. We get it when. Because last year we asked the same questions. We never heard back from anyone. When? I'm asking really honestly when.
Yeah, I understand. I appreciate that, and yeah, I'm not trying to give you a hard and fast date, but we will take those. So you gave those to Brett in writing as well.
Fourth time.
Understand, fourth time. Heard that. Yeah.
Give me answers in a month. Give me some answers.
Okay.
Give me something. Basically, we come, we ask questions, and it's like we're talking to a wall that doesn't respond. We have no faith in you. Don't respond.
Okay, I got that. We will look at new work on responding to those questions within the next few months.
Most of all, on a public site, questions and absence of answers while they're waiting to be filled.
I promise to do this, is that we will post everything we received tonight in writing. We're also going to upload the video. We'll figure all that out on the NRC website. I can't tell you where specifically on the NRC's website. You know, I've actually been respectful, and I'm trying to give you the details you're looking for here so you can find this information, so just please let me conclude. It will be posted to the NRC website, www.nrc.gov. It will be in some sub-site within that. It will also be probably hosted within Atlas, because that's our official record repository, but it will also be linked, hyperlinked on the NRC website. I can't say specifically where. I assume it will be tied to the meeting announcement, where that is located on the website, which I think is a reasonable way of linking.
When you do that, then you have my email, send me a copy, I'll share it with our community.
I will be happy to do that. Okay, for those, I apologize again, for those who didn't have an opportunity to speak tonight, the NRC staff will linger in the hallway outside if you'd like to have some individual conversations. You can also feel free to submit written comments. There are yellow comment cards out there. Any written comment card submitted to us, assuming are left here this evening, will be included as part of the record. And again, I thank you for your participation tonight, and then we were respectful with each other. So with that, I'm going to keep the meeting.